Embarking on a journey through the labyrinths of Buddhist cosmology requires a preliminary warning. Those who are unfamiliar with the concepts of subtle realms and life after death may find the ensuing narrative unengaging. However, for those who are open to expanding the boundaries of their perception, an acquaintance with this system of knowledge can be a true revelation. The fundamental difference in the Buddhist worldview lies in the absence of dualism, which is characteristic of many other religions, where there is a benevolent creator god and an evil devil. In Buddhism, the causes of human suffering are seen not in the machinations of some malevolent forces, but in the workings of one's own mind, in behavior, and in the intricate web of cause and effect. Similarly, rewards are not seen as the result of someone's favor, but as the natural fruits of actions, a reflection of the state of mind and the consequences of karma. It is for this reason that Buddhism does not raise the irresolvable questions that often plague followers of other faiths. The answers to these questions, for a Buddhist, lie on the surface. For example, why, if God is all good, do children die, wars rage, famine rages, and other disasters occur? The death of children is explained by quite specific causes. Unsanitary conditions, genetic predisposition, and other factors well known to modern medicine and birth in the human world is due to personal karma and the state of mind, which determines the choice of a suitable body. Wars do not cease because people take up arms and kill each other, driven by various motives, social attitudes, economic interests, political ambitions, and, above all, a lack of compassion. There is much more to come, so stay with us to learn more about this fascinating topic. In the modern world, famine is a tragic phenomenon, often man-made, caused by the actions of specific people, while existence is filled with torment, as sensory perception leads to the birth of individuals whose karmic burden and imperfection of mind predetermine their distance from the ideal. In Buddhist philosophy, goodness is not presented as an innate virtue, but as the result of conscious effort and spiritual practice, like developing muscles or acquiring new skills. Buddhism does not impose the imperative to be good, but emphasizes that adherence to moral principles brings more favorable fruits, while evil-doing is fraught with undesirable consequences. Thus, virtuous behavior is seen as a wise and beneficial strategy. In Buddhism, there are no rigid frameworks of what is permitted and forbidden. Freedom of choice is absolute, but every action entails a chain of consequences, both immediate and delayed in time, and the burden of responsibility for these consequences rests entirely with the individual. In contrast to the idea of a chaotic world order, Buddhist philosophy, like many spiritual systems, focuses on the deep interconnectedness and complex structure of the universe. A careful look cannot fail to note the striking harmony and precision of the world's structure, from the smallest microorganisms to the vast galactic systems. The very fact that life exists and complex mechanisms function seems incredible without careful coordination and the simultaneous emergence of various elements, united by a common purpose. In Buddhist philosophy, the discussion of the deliberate creation of the world or its spontaneous emergence is not central. The key point is the recognition of the very fact of the existence of the universe and its current state. Buddhist cosmology presents a concept of cyclicality, where epochs of expansion are replaced by periods of compression, repeating over incomprehensibly long periods of time. It is noteworthy that modern astronomical theories, from the Big Bang theory to speculations about the existence of previous universes, find certain parallels with this ancient concept. Buddhist cosmology states that at the end of each cosmic cycle, all sentient beings strive for spiritual perfection in order to ascend to the higher realms of being, invulnerable to the destructive forces that accompany the renewal of the universe. Those who do not reach the necessary degree of enlightenment will cease to exist. However, as the Buddhist scriptures say, there is no cause for alarm, since the current cycle of the universe is only at the beginning of its path. At the moment of the birth of a new universe, all beings who have attained enlightenment in the previous cycle reside in the world of radiant Brahmas, the abode of the highest deities. When the first being leaves this world, it is reborn in the boundless, empty universe, endowed with incredible power and greatness. This being, devoid of memories of the past cycle, desires that other entities inhabit this world as well, Soon, other deities descend from the world of radiant Brahmas to fill the new universe. The sutras describe an interesting episode. The first inhabitant of a new universe, Mahabrahman, begins to consider himself the creator of these beings because he wished for their appearance, and they arose. This case serves as a vivid illustration of how even powerful beings can be mistaken about the true nature of reality and their place in it. Inevitably, subsequent generations of inhabitants of the universe worship the one who arose first. Seeing him as the creator of all things, his power seems incomprehensible, his existence endless, and his possibilities limitless. However, in reality, he is neither the true creator of these beings nor the architect of the cyclic nature of the universe itself. Buddha taught that some ascetics, dedicated to spiritual perfection, are able to recall their past lives spent in the abodes of the gods. Based on these memories, they conclude that there is a God-creator, some omnipotent being who created them and then cast them into the world of mortals. But even such direct experience, such revelation, cannot claim to be complete knowledge, given the grandiose scale of the universe and its endless cycles. Any knowledge, by its very nature, is limited by the horizon of cognition. Even reaching the top of the hierarchy, meeting the most powerful, beautiful, and creatively gifted being, we will not find the original source, but only one of the stages of the eternal cycle. But if not Mahabrahma, if not the first being in this world, who created the very cyclical nature, the basic laws and beings that inhabit the universe, then who? The Buddha asserted that comprehending the root cause of the cycle of rebirths in which all beings revolve is a task beyond human comprehension. Any attempts to speculatively construct theories about the origin and boundaries of the universe were not approved by the Buddha, since they do not bring any practical benefit on the path to liberation from suffering. Attempts to comprehend the incomprehensible are like the futile efforts of a microbe living on a human hand to understand the motives and activities of its carrier. The immeasurably small size of microscopic organisms does not allow them to even see a human being, let alone comprehend the motives of their activity. Similarly, erecting speculative theories about the root cause of existence or the creator of the universe is fraught with cluttering the mind and slowing down progress, since it does not lead to obtaining reliable and verifiable knowledge. What can be said about the devil, this sinister figure of the Western religious tradition? In Buddhist teachings, there is a conceptual analogue of this character, Mara. It is noteworthy that in Slavic mythology, Mara, also known as Mariana, appears as a goddess representing death, winter cold, and night darkness. Her straw effigy, symbolizing the departing winter, is solemnly burned during the celebration of Maslenitsa, marking the arrival of spring and the renewal of life. In Buddhist sacred texts, sutras, Mara is depicted as a malicious entity who tempted the Buddha himself after he attained enlightenment. He persistently urged the Buddha to accept parinibbana, that is, to voluntarily end his earthly existence, in order to avoid the need to teach others his doctrine. However, the Buddha, driven by deep compassion for all living beings, resolutely rejected these tempting offers. Mara did not limit himself to temptations, he also tried to intimidate the Buddha, instill in him false ideas and distorted concepts about the world. There are entire cycles of sutras that describe in detail Mara's numerous attempts to tempt or intimidate monks and nuns striving for spiritual enlightenment. Mara is one of the senior devas, but a literal translation of the word devas as gods or angels can introduce significant confusion into the Western worldview, accustomed to a clear division between the divine and the mundane. In Buddhism, the term devas encompasses a wide range of beings that surpass humans in terms of power, longevity, and the degree of satisfaction with their existence. These beings live in devalokas, heavenly abodes, but they do not necessarily possess the power or other attributes that are commonly associated with gods in Western culture. It is important to note that devas are mortal, although they live extremely long lives, and are individuals with their own unique inner worlds and life paths. Therefore, in order to avoid distorting the meaning, it seems appropriate not to translate the word deva, but to use it in its original form. The literal translation of this word from ancient Sanskrit is shining, which reflects their bright and peaceful nature. Mara, towering above mortals, heads a host of celestials, occupying a position far from human understanding. In the sacred sutras, he appears as the Supreme Lord, whose nature is clouded by malice and treachery. A legitimate question arises: how did such a sinister entity attain such a lofty position in the celestial hierarchy and acquire such unlimited power? The answer lies in the inexorable laws of karma. One who has dedicated their life to virtuous deeds is worthy of rebirth in higher realms, receiving a body that surpasses ours in its capabilities and beauty. However, nothing lasts forever, and even in the most sublime spheres, relentless changes occur. Over time, Mara, succumbing to dark thoughts, began to sow discord and inflict suffering on those around him. Perhaps in his mind, these actions seem perfectly justified, which, unfortunately, is not an uncommon occurrence. History is replete with examples of rulers who began their journey with good intentions and bright ideals, gradually turning into cruel despots, committing monstrous atrocities while finding hypocritical justifications for their actions. Mara is endowed not only with immense power, but also with incredible longevity. However, even he is not immortal. It is unknown what fate awaits him after death. One thing is clear: no one can escape the consequences of their actions unless they make an effort to atone for them and embark on the path of true repentance. In the Buddhist tradition, the emphasis is not on confronting Mara, but on diligent practice, which is believed to lead to favorable outcomes. The sutras state that if a person follows the path of spiritual development, Mara loses his power and departs. Buddha emphasized that Mara has no power over those who follow the right path, and therefore there is no reason for fear. Mara's power extends only as far as we ourselves.